Well, it's been a long time since I've done a video, and I don't think I've been very successful, so this is not quite a sales pitch. But I do read, I have things to say, and my latest serious attention has been given over to Albert Schweitzer, who is, by Wikipedia, I think accurately called a polymath. He was an exceptional man. He's very famous. When I was in grade school in the 60s, he died in 65. He was a big deal for a while there in elementary school for me. And I've been reading I think a very good biography by this man, James Brabazon, which I think is a pseudonym for Leslie Seth Smith, who was born in 1923 and died in 2009. And he's done movies and things like that. And he got really into one of the topics that's of great interest to me, which is Schweitzer's views on Jesus and faith and religion and things of that sort, and especially ethics. So that I typically make an index in my books, and I'm nearing the end of this book, and my personal index that I make is rather full, and I got a little bit angry at Brabazon for probably overstepping his area of knowledge as to what he was discussing regarding Schweitzer and the New Testament, but we want to get into that. So the purpose of my talk here, for whoever out there is interested in, and it may be a several part talk, and I see that my subscribers are probably the ones now less interested in my talks than people just randomly Googling something. So I have to sort of live with that unless I can remake myself in some way and be more exciting. But I want to share, and actually for me too, as I've always honestly said, it's good to try to put my thoughts together. I think about this at night, etc. But in short, if I were to summarize who Albert Schweitzer, I like to pronounce it like that, is for me, or is for me, he was a remarkably intelligent and energetic man who was bored in school, raised by a very broad-minded, liberal-minded Lutheran uh, pastor in a particularly interesting area of the world, which is Alsace, which is on the border between France and Germany. So that they speak a dialect of German or Alsatian, which I'm not an expert on all these you know details, but they were basically bilingual German, French, and spoke their Alsatian. If I'm not mistaken, the great Yves Congar, theologian, probably most important in Vatican II, was from this area. So that this is an area that has produced remarkable people, and with great intellects, etc. Maybe Congar was not from Alsace, but in any case, they stuck together pretty much. And as I found with Dutch people, they have tremendous goodness, I think, and a tremendously important ethical sense. So that this Albert Schweitzer finally began to be interested in music. And he was a very super energetic, super concentrated. Capacity of concentration was incredible, and he had to master everything to the last detail. So he got into the organ, not only playing the organ, but how organs were made, how they best sounded, what were the good and bad points of innovation in organ building, etc. So he was, to me, almost first of all, a musician, an artistic, sentimental, if you will, romantic, sensitive man. He also went on to study philosophy, and he studied Kant, Immanuel Kant, who's famous for the categorical imperative. You know, act as if everything you did could be done by everyone else without, stepping on others' toes. And also wrote about practical reason. So Schweitzer was always interested in theories and in thoughts and in ideas and in knowledge, but ultimately to apply them in an ethical way, and maybe in an effective way. Some would dispute that expediency or effectiveness or efficacy was his thing. So he got a doctorate in philosophy and got a doctorate in theology. And he became, extremely interested in the historical Jesus. And was really a pioneer in promoting the view that Jesus was first of all a Jew of his time, and a Jew belonging to the movements that were current in Judaism in the first century, many of them involving eschatological and apocalyptic expectations. They were under Roman rule, there was oppression, they didn't have control of their own holy land granted by God. And from 2 or 3 centuries before, with the Enoch literature, and even in Daniel chapter 7 through 12, regarding the Son of Man and the overturning of world history, where the beasts from the sea, the chaotic demonic sea, rise up, the series of empires. They will have their power, dominion, exousia in Greek, it's applied to Jesus, and shaltan in Aramaic. They will have this dominion taken away from them, which rightly belongs to Adam, which rightly belongs to human being, one like a human being. Barenosh, one like Son of Man is a human being, but this is a sort of a collective entity, individualized. Later made a very specific figure, united with the Messiah in Enoch and the chosen one of Isaiah, so that you have a composite redeemer figure, Son of Man, who sits on a throne next to God, and the rabbis say that this is David, the Messiah. And then you have the chosen one of Isaiah, which is a little bit more complicated in that the chosen one, the servant of the Lord in Isaiah, is often considered to be just Jacob, but there's another point of view that is held by Jewish and Christian scholars that he's really a mysterious individual who ministers to Israel and therefore can't be identified with Israel. In any case, it's a very special figure. And if you look at it as an individual, he sort of leads the or the final exodus into salvation. I know it's a little complicated. And then you have the Messiah, David, and then you have the new human being, this Son of Man, who gets what rightfully should have been retained by Adam. But Adam, with his sin, gave over his dominion over the beasts to the beasts. And the beasts, in the form of empires, have been dominating the world, and especially Israel. And all this would be undone by God when the end of the world would come, whether with a role for the Son of Man, or when the Messiah comes, or in some other way. And Jesus definitely belonged to these kinds of movements. And John the Baptist is already talking about the axe is laid to the root, and repent, and there's going to be a judgment, etc. And Jesus apparently was his disciple, certainly was baptized by him, something no gospel would make up. And I'm going to have to take a little break because I realize I don't have my Bible with me, so that I have to take a break and just pause this.